We have two stories here, both from a female's point of view, and it's more about should they be sleeping casually with the men they're dating. So the first story goes as follows. Help. So last Saturday, I, a 20-year-old female, went on a spectacular date with a 25-year-old male I met on Hinge. Hinge is probably the best dating app. I'd say it's a bit more classy. I feel like people more want to push for a relationship on that app. That's from my experience. That's how I met my girlfriend. But yeah, at the end of the day, dating apps are still a bit yucky, but you can find some great people on there. We really connected over shared interests and music, and he seemed extremely chivalrous and kind. Well, someone can paint how they want you to view them in the first few dates, especially maybe even the first few months, but then the mask slips, then the facade slips. But at the end of the day, you just got to trust that person. So on the first date, he came across as kind and a great guy. Yeah, believe it, but always be a bit cautious, just like he should be cautious with you. We went back to my place. Okay, on the first day, she invited him back. He must have been extremely handsome, playing his cards right. To watch a movie, and I had zero intention on having sex with him. That's a lie. Let's just be honest. That's a straight up lie. Because if you're inviting a guy back who is still a stranger to you, and you're in like a date setting, he's thinking it's probably going to lead to sex, and you're opening up the door for sex. So don't lie to yourself. It's fine. Just admit it. You found him very attractive. Things went very well, and you wanted to open up the opportunity to have sex with him. Because you wouldn't invite a guy back who you felt unsafe with. You wouldn't invite a guy back who you weren't romantically interested in. So she can play the card. Oh yeah, just want to invite him back for a movie. Had zero intention of having sex with him. When you invite him back, it's game on, and you can't expect him not to make a move on you. I'd be telling him to make a move on you if I was trying to provide him some coaching. She said, I genuinely wanted to get to know him as a person. I don't want him to ghost me or think I was easy. Okay, but you can still get to know him without like inviting him back and not showing yourself as easy. But again, it's not a bad thing to invite a guy back on a first day if the things are going really well. But from the guy's point of view, of course, he's going to think, oh, yeah, do you do this with a lot of people or am I just special? Now, hopefully, the guy's just special and you don't do this with a lot of men. But it's understandable he's going to think possibly that you're easy, or he just played his cards really well, and that's maybe his mindset. Is like, okay, this girl could be possible relationship material, and I just played my cards really well, which is why she invited me back on the first date. Well, one, didn't want him to ghost me or think I was easy. And again, it also on that line as well, it kind of shows that she's been ghosted in the past. Maybe she didn't move things forward with a guy quick enough, so she thought, oh, don't. The reason he ghosted me is because I didn't have sex with him quick enough, which of course is not the correct way of thinking about things. Guys will ghost a girl for a multitude of reasons. It's usually the vibe she gives off and the thing she says on the first day that gives the guy the oh, not sure about this girl. It's not about him, or it's not about her not sleeping with him very quickly. I think girls get confused about that. I don't think girls know what guys look out for when it comes to dating. Well, one thing led to another, as it does. I'm sure they didn't even get halfway through the movie. And he ended up making a move on me. Oh no, how dare you make a move on me? I was not expecting it. I stopped and asked him if we would still continue to talk and see each other if I slept with him. Oh my God. So again, this just paints the picture that this has happened to her multiple times. She sleep with a guy and then the guy ends up ghosting her and leaving her, which is, yeah, that's very valid because the value of sex has decreased. The guys don't have to jump through as many hoops or do as many things to get sex. In the olden days, you'd have to put a ring on it. You have to marry the woman to be able to sleep with her. Now, yeah, you can take her on a first date, take her to a couple of drinks, and she might be up for sex. Not saying that's a bad thing, but what does that provide? What does that create? Sorry, it creates men just going out on a date, doing the bare minimum, having sex, and thinking, okay, tick that off. I'm gonna go to the next girl because variety is the spice of life, and men, or most men, want variety when it comes to their sexual partners. So yeah, she's completely right to think, oh my god, if I sleep with this guy, he's probably just gonna leave me. If that's your worry, then you're not ready to sleep with him on the first date. Then you need to do more vetting. and also you need to do some more self work on yourself. Let me have a sip of coffee and we'll continue the story. Nothing beats a Sunday coffee. My favourite coffee shop was closed today though, which makes me a bit sad, but first world problems, huh? And he said, "Of course not. Don't worry." So he said, "Of course not. Don't worry. I won't ghost you if we sleep together." And I said, "Punani smells a bit." Joking. He followed up after and texted me for a few days. Okay, that's a good sign. Now let's see if he actually plans a date to see her again and woo her more. Because I'm sure he's thinking, oh, sex must be on the cards again for a second date if we had it on the first date. So I'm sure he's going to be jumping through hoops to go on a second date with her. But it's now Sunday and I haven't heard from him since Friday. He hasn't initiated a second date. Well, he could be busy, especially over the weekends, but at the end of the day, he's probably dating multiple women, just like you're probably dating multiple men or should be dating multiple men. Unfortunately, that's just modern dating now. When you're out on a date with someone, just expect they're probably dating someone else. It sucks, it's not a nice feeling, but on these apps, especially women, they get multiple matches and they want to make sure they get the best bang for their buck. They want to make sure they got the best guy they have an opportunity with. So they're going to date around and see what's best, see what's out there. And if this guy's a bit of a Chad, very good looking, he's probably doing the exact same as most women. Now, it'd be a concern if you're having a conversation on text on Friday and he just didn't reply to you, like the conversation didn't end, and like you sent him a question or something and he just has ignored it. I'd say that's a bit rude because we know people are on their phones and it takes what, a couple of seconds to reply to a message. And if he can't use the calories in his thumb to reply to you, then obviously he's not that interested. And if he was crazy about you, he'd set up a second date, within the first few days after the first date. She ends, I honestly feel devastated because things really click for me with this one. Is he not following up interest anymore because I was easy, question mark? Let me have another drink and we'll end this video with my thoughts on that. So first, I actually feel sorry for her because it sounds like she really does want to have a connection with a guy and possibly something long term. And yeah, she fell for his good looks and his charm on the day. And yeah, she really wanted it to click with him, as she said in her words. And at the age of 20, she's still very young, but she's probably already been on quite a few dates where things haven't clicked. She hasn't felt the right vibe of a guy, and she's been messed around. For most guys, at the age of 20, some of them haven't even slept with a girl or even been on a date. But a girl at 20, she's probably been on a dozen dates already. Because, girls develop much quicker than guys, and guys of all ages will be attracted to a woman, from the age of 18. So she's had a lot of attention over the past, 5+ years. Is he not following up? Interested because I was easy? That is a possibility. However, it would be other things that would have put him off. Like that would be in the back of his mind, like, okay, this girl might be a bit easy. She slept with me on the first date. But if this guy is confident and he knows what he's doing, he's probably thinking, no, she slept with me on the first date because I played everything right and I'm an absolute Chad. I have everything. It's understandable why this girl would want to sleep with me on the first date. But if he just rocked up to the date, he didn't put in much effort, he stunk, and then she still slept with him, he might be thinking, oh, mate, she just sleeps with anyone because I'm nothing special. But no, I don't think it's because you were easy. However, it might have been the things you said. You might have said, oh my God, ha ha ha. I do this all the time with guys. I always invite them back and things just happen. Obviously, saying something like that is going to show that you're easy. It might have been the things you said. Maybe you just come across as someone who despises men. Maybe you come across as someone who's looking for materialistic things. The list goes on. Guys pick up on things. Does that mean where a girl says one thing and straight away a guy knows that she's not marriage material? So yeah, women need to be careful about the things they say because guys pick up on it, especially in this internet age where guys are a bit more aware of some of the things women do and female nature, especially with the red pill manosphere communities. But no, I wouldn't say you're too easy. Maybe he's just a guy who was using you for sex. And if that is the case and he hasn't replied to you in the last few days, then I guess you just got to put this down as a learning experience and find someone who's going to treat you better. But yeah, this is the reason why you got to vet the people you're dating very well, because this could damage her long term. This could damage her mentally. This could damage her feelings towards men. And I think most men, let's be honest, naturally prefer women who don't sleep with too many guys. So if she's doing this, 6 or 7 times on first dates, then her number's going to go up, and that's going to have a mental impact on her. And some guys are going to pick up on that and may not want to commit to her long term. And this is all led from the fact that she wanted to find someone to possibly spend the rest of her life with. But instead, she just ended it with opening her legs to a guy who wasn't going to commit. And that's sad. I was going to do two stories here, but I think that's long enough. So we'll end it on that one. Anyway, that's all, guys. Cheers. See ya.